Gemma.
Would you like to start by telling everyone what we're doing today?
Of course I do.
Welcome to our Basingstoke Town Trail, a self-guided walk of our town centre starting off with the 800-year-old marketplace.
As you join us on the trail, we will show you more about the town's history that you may or may not know about,
starting from the Domesday through to the modern day.
Join us and explore the historical features of many of the town's buildings. Join us to discover some of the town's more famous residents and find out about some of those who have passed through.
Join us to take the opportunity to learn more about Basingstoke's town centre and how it has developed over the years.
East Rock Park was opened in the town during the 1960s, which is the time of the London overspill. It provides a place for families to relax during the summer months, with a vast amount of greenery and benches, as well as boats to hire and a small ice cream kiosk open between April and September every year. The Basingstoke Canal used to run through the park and was used as a major method of transport into the town. The River Loddon still runs through the park to this day and flows north to join the River Thames near Reading.
We walk down Woke Street, which is an old cobbled hill, to the Haymarket Theatre. It is an old Victorian building which hosts various shows throughout the year, including pantomimes and Christmas shows, as well as educational performances.
We started young when we were boys, stealing loads of sweets and toys, laughing till we didn't need to learn our sums all right and read. We never planned to get a job, our only goal to fame and roll, our only goal to fame and roll.
Another 5 minutes or so from East Rock Park is the War Memorial Park, which is near the top of town. It was opened as a large open space to remember the fallen from the World War I. The park is a site of where Basingstoke Live, a free music festival, is held every summer. The Memorial Park has 3 large fields, as well as a play area, a bandstand and a perimeter pathway.
We started off at the Willis Museum, which was originally Basingstoke's town hall during the 1800s. The building was designated the Willis Museum in 1931 and was curated by George Willis until 1970. The museum was opened to document Basingstoke.
Can you introduce yourself, please?
I'm Jenny Stevens and my job title is Area Community Curator for North Central. And what that means is that I'm the curator for Willis Museum in Basingstoke, the Random Museum and the Museum of the Iron Age, and Aldershot Military Museum, so I actually cover 3 museums in North Hampshire. Well, the museum itself is actually very, very old in terms of having had a museum in Basingstoke. It originally started by a man called George Willis, which is why the museum is named after him. And he actually started his own little museum. He was the local clock and watchmaker and mender. And he was one of these guys, well, we used to call an antiquarian, who was very interested in lots of different things. And he started to collect old objects. And then people started to catch on to this so that they would brought things back to him. It's like we've got a collection of Egyptian material that people actually, he never went to Egypt himself, but people who went there actually brought back and gave to him.
In the museum, you'll find lots of interesting artefacts and exhibitions, including a scale model of a typical 1960s home. As you continue around the windy corridors, you gradually go back in time to see what life was like during the war, and even as far back as the 1700s, when Basingstoke was a tiny market town.
How long have you been the curator for?
In terms of the Willis itself, I've been the curator for 3.5 years. I used to be the curator of Andover Museum and another one in the New Forest, but then we had a reorganisation a few years ago and I took on Willis and Aldershot Military Museum at that time.
What challenges do you face when looking after the museum?
Well, all museums face challenges. With this building, it's a big building. Looking after the building itself is always a challenge because you have to make sure it's safe and clean and tidy, so that's always one of our big roles. It's also looking after all the objects that are in here. I'm lucky that we've got a big team as part of the Hampshire Cultural Trust who help us look after the objects and the collections to make sure they're safe, make sure no beasties are biting them or anything. There are insects that do like to eat things, make sure things aren't dirty. I was born in Hampshire. I'm actually from the south coast of Hampshire. I'm from Gosport originally. And over the years I've lived in a number of different places because I was following my career as an archaeologist and then museum curator. So I've lived in Wales, Reading, Leicester, Lincolnshire, and back to Hampshire again. And I worked in Portsmouth for 7 years, and then I moved to Hampshire County Council, which is now Hampshire Cultural Trust, to look after. It's changed enormously. Many years ago it was a small market town, a bit like Andover, Romsey, places like that. It was on the A303, or the 303, or the old, what was the carriage route for the post and things. So it would have actually just been a market town with people bringing their animals and livestock and goods into town to sell. Well, they can come and visit the museum, because there's obviously lots in here. We've got the story of Basingstoke and we've got stuff about archaeology on the top floor as well. We also sell lots of books that tell you about Basingstoke in the past, and also the library's got a good collection of local history books. They can go online and Google Basingstoke and Basingstoke history, there's lots of material. But they can also join sort of one of the local clubs. There's Basingstoke History Society, for instance, that are very active and they look after things and they write lots of books. So if you're really keen, it's well worth having a look at one of the local societies. There's an archaeology society as well, and finding out more that way. But often the best way is to come in, visit us first, and then get a book maybe and start that way.
Thank you.
Lesser Market was a small indoor market located between Church Street and Woke Street near the top of town. The entrance to Lesser Market features fruit and vegetable artwork, which dates back to 1864. The market was used for the sale of fruit and vegetables, as well as fresh meat and dairy items, until the market opened outside the Willis Museum more recently. The current marketplace has stalls selling novelty knickknacks and toys, as well as fresh meat and vegetables and hot food. It's open every Wednesday and Saturday.
Festival Place is located at the bottom of Woke Street and opened to the public in 2002. The huge complex is the 22nd largest shopping centre in the UK, and there is an array of shops and restaurants, as well as a cinema and a sports centre, a large bus station and a fountain area. A 5-minute walk away from the centre is Eastrock Park.